Hey, this is Death on a Madness, and we are here with a new episode. It's just going to be me today. We want to see what some side characters have been doing. The kind of villain, the player characters turned villains, slash Isidore, I guess, is also a character I want to see what's happening with. We're going to follow Ophelia, Cyrillus, and Isidore and see what has been happening in Sinia. We are heading back to Sinia. I want to make sure that we know what has been going on there. And so, to that end, here we are. Let me just double check their beliefs and stuff and make sure I remember. So I'm imagining we won't do a lot of role play this time, since it's just me. If there's any important scenes that I want to see how they'd be seen on screen, I can always do that. But I want to kind of do a lot of time here. So I think Cyrillus's beliefs are good. Yeah, let's just do our normal reading off beliefs and instincts, and I'll introduce you to our three characters we're going to be doing stuff for. So we have Cyrillus. And his beliefs are: I have been shown the truth of the world. It must burn. The next step is to ensure a foothold for the Darthrax in Sinia. The Jinn are the source. The Jinn are the source of the Nikaim's power. I will seek to destroy them. I have been given strange new abilities, and I will discover their true potential. I will advance my hatred. Instincts. Always be armed. If someone I am with refuses a drink, then I will chide them about it. If someone irritates me, then I take a drink of my flask. Traits: veneer of obedience, drunk, religious, competitive, speaker of the secret language, mad, unlucky, diseased, lame, iron stomach, sea legs, and forked tongue. So that is what Cyrillus has got going on. We also have Ophelia. Her beliefs are: my mind is being open to the truth. In the flood of voices, one has stood out from the others. I will discover the truth about my son Philip and whether or not he is alive. Zoe has a special power. I will seek her out and convince her to teach me. I am done playing games. Sinia must be controlled, and the Darthrax are a threat to my new order. I will destroy them. The gods have given me my task. Bring the rest of the pantheon into the fold. I will discover a method for murdering the living gods. Instincts. Always choose an animal over a human. If I come across someone I would like to manipulate, I stoop to their level. Always collect raven feathers and black orchids. Traits: speaker of the secret language, cruel, lunatic, loner, religious, intellectual, competitive, matriarchal, faith in dead gods, mark of privilege, zealot, lame, enlarged venom sacs, corrupted, blind, forked tongue, and dreadful. And then last, we have Isidore, who is the guy that is kind of helping Caruzia right now stay alive. So his beliefs are: not rocking the boat is no longer an option, and someone has to lead this town. I will ensure my position as leader is accepted by Caruzia. The Jugati must be... Oh, thank you. I've been delivered a smoothie from my wife. She is the best. Caruzia must be defended, but its people need to know how. The first step is to build a palisade to protect us. Instincts: never assume I understand a person's motives. If someone is disrespectful, then I take action to curb their behavior. Always keep my spear with me. Traits are drunk, outlaw, and plain-faced. Yeah, not a lot of traits on Isidore. Not yet, anyway. All right, let me quick check some of my notes here. In addition, to make sure that I know what's going on here. Let's see, Josh Lang had sent me something about Isidore at one point, or about Caruzia. Maybe he just sent me the role. I see. Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to remember what was happening with Caruzia based on the role he made. I think he was going to emphasize the rice patties and the like hippo cattle things that they're growing in Charisma right now. I'm not sure we need to get too far into that yet, but we'll see how this goes. Okay. So we have a couple of decision points here, a couple of things that could change what Charisma looks like when our characters arrive. So I think the first thing that we need to figure out is, well, probably the most important thing we need to figure out is who is in charge of Sinia when they get back. But I think the thing I want to start with is Ophelia trying to figure out this thing about her son, whether or not he's alive. So they're going to do a faith roll. Or, faith in dead gods, I suppose. Let's see how that goes down. The obs. It's guidance, I think. Yeah. Trying to figure out what the right path is. So when we left off with Ophelia, she had confronted the end of last season, she had confronted Avra when she was going to go get the Irida, the prophecy book of Sinia. And Ophelia said, she was going crazy because of the hatred cult stuff that Cyrillus had been doing. And she thought she heard her son's voice speaking to her, right? She was raving about I hear him. And that's what she wants her cult to try to help her figure out is is this real? Is this actually my son? Or is this a trick being played on me? So I'm just going to double check if there's any differences that would matter here for faith in dead gods. Where's the religion section of this? Page 270. All right. Faith in dead gods. Okay, they can still do guidance. That's what I wanted to check on. All right, so we got an Ob 5 faith roll here. I don't think Ophelia has believer. So I probably should have gone through and added traits to them, but I'll probably still do that, but I'll do it after this session. Wow, Ophelia has 8 corruption. It's crazy. Okay, so she's gathering her priests together, which means she has Althea, who has faith in dead gods, at 4. So 1 help die there. Perrin, who at this point has faith in dead gods. I just haven't written it in yet. I think it's 3. So she's gonna get 2 helping dice from them, and then probably 1 other helping die from her followers. So I think it's 3 in total, and she needs to get a 5. She is gonna. Wow. Okay. Ophelia has no persona. She just has fate. So I guess she might die this session, but I don't think she will. All right. Here we go. All right, success. So I think I said success on this means that she does indeed contact Philip's ghost. So we see the Nikame, who is that's the name I've given to the dead cult, the dead gods cult that Ophelia leads. The Nikame gather together, right? Ophelia gets Perrin and Althea. I think Althea was she was pregnant before. She's probably major pregnant right now. I don't know if she's actually given birth to the child yet. But I think she's whether or not she's about to give birth or has already given birth. I'll have to figure that out, but I think she's good enough to give some faith dice here. That's not going to get in the way. So all of them are there. Probably, I think they are at the palace right now. So they gather together in whatever chapel or room they've set aside for a chapel in the palace in Sinia, and they pray for guidance. Right, Ophelia has been hearing the voice of her dead son. Right, the first cult that she made out in the wilderness for the dead gods. She thought the way to join the dead gods and what was it? I'm trying to remember the specifics here. I'm trying to remember if it was her son died normally and then she tried to get the cult to commit suicide to go to be with her son, or if that's what she thought the cult wanted to do, or the dead gods wanted her to do all along, and her son died and then she wanted to go be with him. I don't think it matters for this scene, but the idea is she wants to die, or wanted to at one point, right? When she, because she wants to be with her son. But this could be a chance for her son to not, to be able to contact her, right? And I think this success means that she knows this isn't a trick, right? This is actually his spirit or something, reaching from the dark side of the planet, where the underworld basically is, to contact her. So we see this big ritual. The Nickame gather together and perform this ceremony to call upon the dead gods, the pantheon. And Ophelia sees probably like a shadowy figure in front of her. The figure, I think I made a character sheet for Philip. Let me see if I can. Yeah, here we go. I haven't he's played by whoever this guy is. I guess I forgot to write down the name of the actor. But longer, goes past the ears, kind of curly, light brown hair, and a boyish face. I think he's a teenager in the view we get here. That's what he looks like, a young teenager. And he appears, right, as this kind of shadow. He's wearing all black, this like black tunic, and there are a pair of ghostly black feathery wings, so I look like raven wings, that are like coming from his back as he kind of appears. And only Ophelia, I think, is seeing this, but this apparition appears before her. And now I need to figure out like what I meant to sit down and really hammer out what success and failure would mean in each of the tests I wanted to do here. But I mean, that's what role-playing games are for. We're figuring it out right now. I don't know. I'm trying to think what makes sense for Philip to want from her, right? Like, why has he been trying to contact her? I think endgame for Ophelia is so basically we have two different approaches to opposing the father of the gods from the Nickame and the Darthrax. The Darthrax being the hatred cult, the cannibal assassins that Cyrillus leads. The Nickame want to kill the gods so that their dead gods can return to like rule the world, right? They've considered basically that the dead gods have been wronged, they've been stripped of their power, and they need to like kill the rest of the gods so that they all join this glorious new pantheon and then can return in full power to rule over their subjects with this like new mindset about them, of this being part of the dead god cult. And to this end, they have joined with some of the demons, some of the jinn, that are on the dark side of the planet, but have made a pact with Nicaea, one of the dead gods, to come over on this side of the planet in the form of animals. And they want to, like, their primary goal is to kill the gods so that the dead gods can, like, all return as a pantheon, and the living gods can be ousted. The Darithrax, they want to kill everyone, right? They want everyone to die, so that no gods can have power over anyone. And I'm just trying to think of what Philip would do in this situation if he is an emissary of the dead gods, which I think he might be. I think that makes the most sense given everything that's happened here. He is like from the Nicaeum, the dead god pantheon. But I'm trying to think of what he could offer in the way of guidance. I think it's probably, well, okay, here, this is the question. Ophelia's beliefs, one of her beliefs was finding a way to kill the gods, right? Yeah, discover a method for murdering the living gods. So I think this roll that she just made, the Faith in Dead Gods roll here, was her asking the question, is this the voice that I've been hearing, is this actually my son or not? And so the answer that she's giving, the success on the roll, is that yes, it is him, and here he is. Now she's going to make a Faith in Dead Gods roll to find the answer to that question, right? And Philip is going to help her with this, is the idea. Philip has corruption, so he's going to help her with that. So Ophelia is going to make another faith roll. Another Faith in Dead Gods. And I think it's still a 5, right? It's still just guidance that she's looking for. So, how does corruption work again? Because I think she might use corruption on this too. Here we go. Corruption. Using corruption. Ooh, you may substitute your corruption for any skill or stat in any test. For a fate point, you can help. Okay. Well, yeah, she doesn't have any persona points, so she can't do that, but she can at least spend a fate, which she will do, to help herself. Oops, I just gave her a fate point. She's going to help herself with corruption, which I believe gives her a routine test. Right, it counts. I think it counts as the test for against an 5, which for corruption, 8 versus 5 is still a routine. Still counts for corruption though. Okay, Faith in Dead Gods. Now she is rolling 5 dice for this because her son is also helping with this. And base of 5. So this is to like get a method from the dead gods. The dead gods have been testing her, poking her, trying to get her to be worthy and ready for the task that she has been given. And this is her being like, okay, I am ready. Like, I've done all the things I need to do. Give me the answer. And she, with flying colors, gets the answer. So this means that Ophelia has discovered the way to do this. And I think it would probably be interesting if this means Ophelia was involved in what Seraphim was doing to Hopsef, right? I think that's the truth, because that ties her more deeply into what's been happening. So I think at one point, right, her followers got together and this process that they've been given, because Seraphim is kind of the ringleader of the dead god pantheon, right? Even though technically he's not dead himself, he has been killing the gods and sending them to the dark side of the planet to be his pantheon in the underworld. And I think basically this means, because we talked about there being various things that can happen to kill gods right now. One being this god killing process that what's it called? God killing process that Seraphim has been using to kill them. But there's also the idea that destroying their followings also can kill gods, right? But I think also what this is doing, because Seraphim has been doing this by himself, right? I think Ophelia getting a success here also means, especially because she got a 10, it also means that she's made it better, right? The Nakaim working with Seraphim is making this way easier for Seraphim to do, which is why, even though Hopsef has a good following, still in Nema and in other places, Hopsef was still able to be killed, and he didn't become immortal, right? There's a combination of things that happened to make this happen, right? One being Seraphim himself and his power. Then it came in their new process that they've this faith ritual that they've gotten from the gods to open up a god to death, to this like death process. But also the idea that, when Djoser stepped in to try to save Hopsef, Hopsef let down his guard, and so when Djoser was pushed away, all of this stuff crashed on him and killed him instantly, and he did not go into the intermediary state of being immortal like Djoser and Malekith and all them have been. So that means that that's one of the things they've been doing, right? Is Hopsef is killed by the Seraphim, or by the Nakaim. And I'm not entirely sure what that process looks like. It's obviously some sort of like faith ritual that they're doing. And since it already happened on screen, I won't roll for this. They just do it. They got a 10 on their roll here anyway, so we can, I don't know, we'll just carry it over to the other thing they were going to do with that, joining in with Seraphim. I'm trying to think of how it's different from like what's been happening before. Like it could just be like, oh, there's more juice now. But I'm just trying to think of like what Ophelia has herself, or what like Philip maybe has, or something like that, right? That's adding to the flavor here of what this actually is. Like what is she good at? Oh, it's like her using falsehood or something, Ophelia? Is it her, like, them getting in contact with the gods in some way? It probably does involve killing anyone who's a follower of the god in Sinia as a first step. Maybe it was like a ritual sacrifice of the followers, right? Okay, so I think we see a scene of any remaining worshippers of Hopsef in Sinia being hunted down by Jinn, right? We see these like feral demon animals going through Sinia and attacking these followers, and then they're being they're being attacked by dogs in the streets, basically, right? And then a Nakaim agent will show up and them and their Jinn will drag them to the palace to be sacrificed. And then I think like those are being sacrificed. And then Josh brings up a good point in chat that Black Orchid tea puts them into a spiritual state that makes it easier to reach at them. I think that's probably that should definitely be part of this too, right? Because that's been Ophelia's thing. So they find some. I mean, that's Ophelia's magic really revolves around that, right? Is her going into this like void mind state. So it's really just like she's unlocked a new level of meditation that allows her to reach further But yeah, so the combination of like the sacrifice of any remaining followers of Hopsef in the city, this black orchid mental state she's going into, and then her like contacting the living God and then like lying to them in some way, like this whispering voice starts to nag at their mind, the God's mind, and then as soon as they're like they let down their guard and are vulnerable, then Seraphim comes with his death weapon or whatever it is, right? His God weapon or something that strikes them down. And so that's all happened behind this off screen, and you know Hopsef has died because of this whole process. And so I think from there, let's jump over to Cyrillus and have him make some rolls himself. So Cyrillus, I think we'll do the trying to just like hurt the djinn. Now that we have some of the stuff that's been happening out of the way. I'm trying to think of what is this literally just like a djinn hunting expedition where they're just gonna like try to corner them and hunt them down. And I think this makes sense. I think this could because Ophelia is using the djinn to track down any followers of the god she wants to kill. I think Cyrillus and his Darthrax are hunting the dogs or whatever, you know, hunting the animal djinn demon things in the city as well. And we'll see how well this goes, because by the end of this process, the djinn might be not as prevalent in the city. We'll see how that goes. So Cyrillus is going to make a roll here, and I think it's probably just like command, right? It's not so much him killing them as like him being able to lead his forces well. And then let me check. I know he wanted to work on hatred too, so let me double check what he can do with hatred so we can get some bonuses here, maybe. Hatred, orc stuff. There we go. Once per session, an orc player, or in this case, Cyrillus, may test his hatred in place of any stat or skill so long as the intent of the test involves destruction, corruption, or cowardice. Hatred is open-ended. Okay, so you can just do this once per session for free, and then you can spend deeds points to do other things with hatred. Okay, cool. So he'll probably save the hatred then. Wait, what does this do? Oh, in place of. No, he doesn't want to do that. He has a way better command than hatred. Yeah, I mean he'll probably get hatred tests just for doing things this time, so it's not too bad. Okay. I should probably give Cyrillus and Ophelia both like deeds points for where they are right now, but oh well. Okay, so command. And I think I will let him fork in his intimidation, obviously, but like spear and brawling too, because this is involving fighting. It's just the primary thing he's doing is leading the fight, not actually fighting himself. And since this is a extended thing, I'll also let him use field dressing, right, to help out his men as the hunt against the djinn happens. So I'm gonna make the roll for Cyrillus. So he got a 7, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna look and see if Ophelia has something to counter with here. Yeah, I think she'll counter with her knives, right? And this is just the idea is the general like resistance that the Nicaim are putting up. So she can fork in bow and stealthy, because again, this is like a longer process. I suppose I probably should have been giving both of them dice for their helpers, but since I didn't give any to Cyrillus, I won't give any for Ophelia. We'll just do it straight from their skills. Because, you know, the difference would probably just be they both get the same amount of dice because they both have followers. So, all right, here we go. Her up is 7. Yeah, that was pretty bad. She has plenty of fate, so I'll have her spend 1 just to see if she can bank it on a ridiculous chance here. So remaining knob 5, dice 1. Nope, no scar. Put some fate in knives. Okay, so Ophelia, I'm sorry, but your djinn have been hunted. And this isn't like all the djinn are dead or anything, but it's like before the Nakaim were recruiting a whole bunch and had a bunch of djinn because they kept pouring over, right? But now the djinn are rare, right? There's only a few of them left. I think there might even be a moment where I think what we see in the narrative from this is, I probably should have like played out the scene with Philip more, now that I'm thinking about it. So, you know, we probably saw like a conversation between him and Ophelia as he helps her get this new process, and how to use the meditation to greater effect. But that's fine. I'll write it out as a novel someday. But in terms of how this looks for Cyrillus, I think this is right. They're hunting through the streets of Sinia. Obviously, the djinn are being used to hunt down followers of other gods, so that makes them vulnerable. So we see the same scene we saw before, where like a dog was like some sort of mad dog, was a djinn dog was chasing down a follower of Hopsef, right, and like biting his leg and whatnot as the Nakaim agent comes. And then we see Cyrillus and some of his men like come over and like just spear the dog to death. Just keep stabbing it over and over and over again in a rage. And then Nakaim is like shocked, and then they like kill that guy too, right? And so we see a montage of djinn being hunted down. And I think the last part we get of that montage is Cyrillus sees Galgalus again, right? The goat demon that he used to have as a djinn. And Galgalus has like taken a different, I think it's still a goat because then we can recognize him, but has taken a different follower, right? Like has been attached to a different Nakaim. And we see this moment of horror as Cyrillus, you know, confronts Galgalus again and basically says something along the lines of, you know, I know, I told you I rejected you, and I reject you still, and then stabs Galgalus through the head, you know, through the eye or something, and the goat body just crumples. And again, this doesn't mean that the demons are dead necessarily, right? They go back to the dark side of the planet, which I think actually leads back into this. I think the whole rock golem thing. So the Nakaim want subtlety, right? That's their aim. They want to do this via subtlety, to kill the dead gods and help the demons rule the world. But the Darthrax do not want subtlety, and I think someone among their number, whether or not Cyrillus knows this or not, right? Whether or not this is like a conscious thing on his part, I think one of the reasons that this djinn hunt is happening is because the time of the animal, the subtle animal spirit is over, right? And you know, whether or not these demons are ones that still want to be djinn in animal form and want to keep doing the subtlety thing, their demon commander on the other side probably wants them as rock golems instead, now that is a possibility, right? Now that is something they can do on the day side of the planet. So I think this is like sending them back to be the rock golem soldiers in the army, which is going to be more effective for the coming fight than being animals. So I think that's one of the reasons this is happening. And I think from there we should move on to, well, I guess first let's go to Isidore and see what he's been up to, right? So Isidore has a couple of different things here. I think the first thing he needs to do is ensure that his leadership is accepted by Cruzia. He's been like the de facto leader. He's been rallying everybody up. But I think we do need to see whether or not he can actually make them like trust him as a leader and can do what he says. Right now, it's been a lot of reactionary stuff, right? He has a cadre of guys that is on his side, but can he get the whole town on board with this? Can they work together to do what they need to do here? So we see, right, Cruzia is a little bit more wet than it has been in the past. So they have like I think I originally imagined Cruzia as being a little bit more arid, but I think as we've gotten to know it a little bit more, it's been more humid because they have these like, and they had multiple things besides the rice paddies, but I think they definitely have these like kind of swampy areas with rice paddies, and hippo cattle that they tamed, right, and used as food, we just see like a more exaggerated version of that. It's just a lot more wet, a lot more rainy in Cruzia these days. And there's a lot more rice being grown. But I don't have anything to add there unless, I don't know if Josh, you're still in chat, but if you have anything you wanted to add to what might be true there. Either way, it's helping them be able to grow food better, because not only is it harder for someone to burn rice crops, right? The Jagati with the Jagati raids, but there's also like a bunch of hippo cattle that are dangerous when provoked, that the Jagati would have to deal with too. So, okay, so Isidore needs to make some rolls. He needs to make a roll to get them on his side. So I think it's going to be probably an ugly truth test, right? Like he has stuff like command and intimidation, but he can't command people who don't like agree with his authority. So I think he needs to give them an ugly truth first, where he's like, this is the way that it is. I need to be in charge because without me, without like a central leader who's like coordinating all of this, we're not going to be able to stand as a united front against the Jagati. So I think that's going to be his ugly truth. I don't think it's like the simplest truth possible because I think part of the ugliness of the truth is, or the complexity of the truth is that like one of the options could be we need to leave, right? Like Cruzia is doomed. Like that's what some people are saying. And part of the ugly truth here is like we can win if you do this, right? This is our only chance. You'll be picked off one by one if we leave, but there are people who are pushing against that. So I'm gonna make it an ob 4. For like a complex political situation. But he can get help for authority-wise, command, man, he has a lot of interesting skills. Intimidation, and soothing platitudes. No persona, okay. So ob 4, here we go. Ooh, that's a failure. He did get a 6 though, and he has 2 fate, but this is like the most important thing he needs to do. So he's going to spend both of those fate to accomplish what he needs to accomplish. So remaining ob 2, remaining dice 2. Dang, so close, but no cigar. Okay. He doesn't have any like call-ons or anything for this. So yeah, I think this is basically him being like, he has a group of people who are with him on this, right? He has a group of soldiers that he's trained. He has been protecting Sinia, but he just doesn't have the full cooperation of the people yet. And so there are people kind of mooching off of his authority and protection without giving him as much assistance as they should. And so I think though, Isidore is going to double down, right? He's going to go from being truth teller to like, hey, listen, I'm taking control of Cruzia, whether you like it or not. I think he believes in his cause enough that he would go to those drastic measures. So he's going to move to that and do intimidation, I think. With the idea being he's almost like extorting them, right? He's like, I'm offering protection only if you make me leader, right? Like that's the only way this is going to work. And whether or not he would follow through on that threat, I don't know, but we'll have to find out if he fails, I suppose. He's going to try again with intimidation. I don't know if this means like all of his avenues of forks are gone. Typically I have been treating it as if like if you fork in a bunch of stuff and the roll fails, those forks have also been negated. But I think I won't do that as extensively as I could. I'll let him use command again because that seems like it's still very relevant. But I think that'll be it. Oh, and authority-wise, that makes sense still. But no soothing platitudes or ugly truth or anything. Okay, so the ob here is like the will of whatever the most stubborn dude is, probably, right? So let's say it's a 4. I think it's a 4. All right, here we go. There we go. That's a way better roll. So Isildur's leadership of the people is not as inspiring as he would have liked it to be. Right, this is a lot more of, and maybe it'll be better in time once people accept what's happening to them. But he basically just drafts the city of Coruzia. Right, he uses his buddies, his war buddies, or his drinking buddies rather, who have been turned into war buddies, as like a rough militia to get everybody in line and get Coruzia motivated to defend themselves. And again, Isildur is telling himself this is all for their own good, but there's definitely some like problems that have arisen from going this route instead of getting them with the ugly truth. But from there, let's go ahead and have him so his other two beliefs are take the fight to the Jagati and raid their camp and build a palisade to protect Coruzia. I think the palisade is probably first. So I think this is a command roll to coordinate the building of the palisade more than anything. Obviously, other people are doing the building. But we'll have him make a command roll here. So we got authority-wise. And I think that might be it. I think it's just authority-wise. And we'll make this an ob 3, I think. There we go. Cool. So he coordinates the efforts to build the palisade just fine. So Coruzia is protected from attackers, at least in some capacity. The Jagati are definitely getting more and more dangerous, though. And it seems like their horses are getting bigger and meaner and more dangerous looking. Something is happening to them out in the wastes here, out in the grassland. And it's not good. So they're still a threat. The palisade isn't necessarily going to hold them off, like automatically, but. All right. So I think we'll skip back over to Cyrillus and Ophelia. And I think it's time to do the fight between Cyrillus and Ophelia, right? The Nakaim, the Darthrax need to duke it out for control of Sinia. And I think what this would mean is whether or not is whose plan is being instituted here, right? If Ophelia wins, the Nakaim will be able to their designs for Sinia will come to fruition, which their designs being they will systematically hunt the followers of other gods, kill them, do their ritual to murder the god, and continue adding to the dead god pantheon. Whereas the Darathrax don't really care about that side of it. They want the whole world to burn, right? Everyone needs to die. And so they are going to just like start getting people into the cult and depopulating it. So one will be much better for Sinia than the other. I mean, both are going to be bad for Sinia, but one will be genocide and the other will be ethnic cleansing. Right? Like particular groups of people being killed or just literal genocide, suicide of the whole people. So we'll see how this goes. Unfortunately, Ophelia is not as good with fighting. But I think she'll go ahead and do some faith rolls, which she should have done this before, but oh well. I think it's more interesting this way. How it's ended up so far. She's going to make some rolls with her abilities here. Faith in dead gods. And then she's going to do... What is the whole thing here with... Can she do... I need to double check faith in dead gods here. They can... Okay, they just can't do intercession, miracle, purification, hindrance, or consecration. Okay, good to know. So, Ophelia's first going to do... Right, this is there's a lot of time passing here. So I think first she's going to do... Probably hindrance. Maybe. No, that's not as far-reaching as it needs to be. Okay, so she's going to do an aid. To try to give herself bonus dice here first. And she has the help of her followers, her high priest and high priestess, and Philip. Oh, and her corruption. She's going to spend another fate point. She needs to get a 4, I believe. Yeah, ob 4, and then any successes over that, she gets more dice. Oh, that was a 0, but... So she gets 2 dice unless she wants to spend a fate and reroll a traitor, which I think she's going to do on this. She has some fate to work with still. So she's going to roll... So 4 is 1 dice, 5 is... So really she just needs 1 more success, right? To get the full... I think that's how it works, right? Yep, meeting the obstacle. Okay. Here we go. Nope. Okay, so she just gets 2 dice. Which is fine. And then... I think that was still a routine, though. It was 10 dice. Yeah, 10 dice against 5 is going to be routine. Or 4. Stop. And then she's going to roll a boon as well to open-end her skill with this. So another... I don't think she's going to use her corruption on this one, but she'll get her help from everybody. This is just an ob 2. All right, well, she needed every die, apparently. Okay, so she's now open-ended with an extra 2 dice, and then she's going to roll Knives test. This is the actual fighting at this point. This is just going to be who has the better strength of arms. So maybe this should be a bloody versus. Yeah, let's make it a bloody versus. Let me find that again. Fight, fight, fight. Here we go. Bloody versus. Okay. Dividing weapon skills into attack and defense. Yeah. Cyrillus is going to get an extra die from his spear. No one has armor. Does one of them have a higher reflexes? Ophelia has a reflexes of 4. Cyrillus has a reflexes of 3. Okay. So Ophelia is going to get a die for higher reflexes. So that's just 1 for each of them. And then beyond that, it's just forks and stuff. So, okay. So Ophelia is going to build this dice pool. So she has a 5 from knives already. 1 from having higher reflexes, so we got 6. And then we have the additional 2 dice from... I'm trying to think. Bloody verses, are these... Do these count as 1 test for the purposes of open-ending a skill? Like, is this... Yeah, I mean, it's described as a test. It's a bloody versus test, so I think it counts for both sides. I think that's what it would be. Okay, so 2 dice from her aid that she gave herself. And then we have... Well, hey, apostate-wise is relevant here. Like, the people she's fighting against are apostates. She can do bow as well, right? Cultist-wise, yep, they're cultists. And then stealthy. This is like guerrilla warfare happening in the streets, right? So she's gonna get stealthy and probably not tracking. It's almost applicable, but I don't think so. Okay, so she has 12 dice. The question is, how does she split them? I'll just write down for now. Ophelia has 12 dice, and then we'll add up Cyrillus's first here. Okay, so he's using spear. Starts with 5. He gets 6 for having a longer weapon. So 6, 7 for intimidation, 8 for field dressing, 9 for command, and 10 for brawling. I'm trying to remember what we've had him do with drinking in the past. Is there something he could roll here to like psych himself up for drinking? I think so. I'm gonna have him roll a drinking test and have it be ob 4, and have it basically be similar to the aid, right? He's kind of channeling whatever weird hatred god power is here, in the same way with drinking, trying to get himself into basically like a berserker rage, and we'll see if he gets any dice for it. Okay, he will spend a fate. Probably should have spent persona on that, but oh well. So another fate in drinking, and then we'll roll 1 die. There we go. That's what he did. Okay, so he gets an additional 2 dice, so they're actually sitting at the same amount of dice. But then I think because Cyrillus has so many persona, he's literally just going to spend 3 of them to put in spear and end up with 15 dice. They both have fate they could spend if they need to reroll 6s, but I think that's where we're at. So this is the thing. Ophelia probably cares about her people not dying. Cyrillus does not. So I think it's possible Cyrillus goes literally all out as far as he can go with attack and doesn't care about defense. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do, it's majority, but I don't think he's going to go crazy. Ophelia is going to split them evenly down the middle for her. So I'm gonna just use the fate thing here to roll this. So the ob doesn't matter. It's just graduated at this point. No, I'll just do the syntax or the macro. Okay, so here we go. /R 66. So she's gonna split her pool into 6s. So this is her attack. And this is her defense. Oof, defense is terrible. No 6s at all. Okay, well, this is going to be a bloodbath. So Cyrillus is going to do 10 and 5. So, but he doesn't have an automatic open ending happening here. Actually, he's going to go ahead and, no, he doesn't need to substitute hatred. Man, hatred is useless to him right now. He needs to get more hatred tests. Let's see, 10, trying to remember if there's anything else he needs to add here. I don't think so. Okay, so not open-ended, but this will be his attack. Okay, 6, and this is their defense. He just needs to get 1. He needs to get 5 to negate her attack, I guess is the idea. Okay, so yeah, there's just damage on either side, right? I'm pretty sure that's how this goes down. Both sides hit. A desperate battle leads to both sides wounded. Apply a wound result as per the weapon rules. Make steel tests as appropriate. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. So, wound result as per the weapon rules. So let's consider this. First, Ophelia did 5 damage against 2 defense. I think Cyrillus, though, will spend a fate to open-end those 6s in his defense. Makes sense. So he'll do 2d6 open-ended now. Okay, wow, no more successes there. Or sorry, I guess he would have been spending 2. I forgot this is... So I'm going to do that with 1 more die and just see if it does anything. Nope, okay. Yeah, so so that means Ophelia got 3 over. I think the add for a knife is 1, right? Where's the weapon index here? There we go. So she's, come on, where's the, I need the knives. Here we go. Knife. Add is 1, but no extra power is being added. Okay, let's see. Perfect. Okay. So that means, I'll just save this index here. She gets a superb hit, which is 1.5 times her power. Ophelia's power is 4. So that means it's a B6, right? Yeah, I think that makes sense. Unfortunately, Cyrillus still has wound leftovers from his being stabbed in the throat by Ophelia. So this might be bad for him. Luckily, a B6 is only another light wound. And I don't think he has any stats at 2. No, his lowest is a 4. So, perfect. So he has wound dice, but he's not down yet, right? He's still kicking. I might have him. I guess I should have taken that wound die into account. I actually didn't. Let me just have him make a health test real quick to try to shrug off that wound penalty, since that is a thing you can do, and then it won't matter that he didn't have that die. Okay, where's anatomy of injury? Here we go. Shrugging it off. Gritting your teeth. Ob 4. Okay, that's what I thought. Ob 4 health test. Here we go. Nope. Oh, I got a difficult test though. So I guess let's do this. I'm gonna roll a d2. Okay, so his attack is being taken off, and I was already gonna decide that it's the last die that it gets removed, and it was a 3, so it doesn't matter for him. Okay. Sounds good. So that means Cyrillus took a wound. Ophelia now. Cyrillus hit her with 6 successes against 1. It's probably I assume it's gonna be a superb hit with a spear as well. Yeah, it has an add of 2, but let's see, 6. So meeting the obstacle is a mark. And then, right? Is that how that works? It's been so long since we've done this stuff. This is the question. Where is weapon? Here we go. IMS. Oh, incidental is when you meet the obstacle. Okay. I see. So out of 2 would mean, so his obstacle is 1, right? And then he does have 4 over, so that's, yeah, it's a superb. So 1.5 times the attacker's power. Unfortunately, spears add to the power for this. So this might be bad for Ophelia. We'll see. So Cyrillus has a power of 5. Plus 2 is 7. What is 1.5 times 7? Oh, that wasn't right. So it's 10. Wow. That's not good. That's a mortal wound for Ophelia. Dang. That's rough. Yeah, so it doesn't matter that Cyrillus got hurt, right? He, I guess, kills Ophelia, in theory, right? Like, her followers could probably try to save her. There could be a whole thing here. Either way, this means that Cyrillus is in charge. Yeah, the issue is Ophelia she doesn't have a persona point. I mean, it's like their characters have been doing things in the background here. I probably should have given them some extra fate and persona to work with. I don't think it's interesting for Cyrillus just to murder Ophelia here. I want the characters to be able to do this. But I think this at least means that something bad happened to Ophelia, and she's very wounded, and she has lost control of Sinia by the time everybody else has arrived. Just trying to think of what this might mean. Just taking a look at our skills and stuff. I think this means we leave off with the session for now, right? I need to figure out off screen like what this means. At the very least, we know that Cyrillus won, right? Cyrillus won the war for Sinia. The Darthrax are in charge, and they're getting everybody mad and dead. So things are going bad in Sinia real fast. I think the last thing I want to end with, though, is we'll go back to Isidore and have them make their raid against the Jagati and see how well that goes. And I'll just make this one test. We'll not make it a versus, or a bloody versus. So he is going to roll his spear. Right, he's leading a bunch of people to go take the fight back to the Jagati. He's going to fork in boxing, brawling. This is like an extended fight. Command, horsewise, intimidation, lance. Oh, he has boxing and martial arts on here. There should really only be one of them. Riding. And I think that's it. And again, I could give him a bunch of help die for people, but like, I don't, this is going to be a versus thing, so I don't think it matters too much. If I don't give the other person those dice as well. Okay, he has no Artha, so we'll go ahead and just roll. He got 8. Ooh, that's really good. And he got a bunch of 6s. Unfortunately, he has no more fate. It's a bummer. Okay, so let me see if I can find... Yeah, Jagati Raider. Here we go. So they have... They'll fight it back with bow. And brawling, countryside-wise, intimidation, knives, spear, and stealthy. So they have 7. 7 as well. But I think they will end up having one more die because their bow is better than his spear. So this could be bad, but we'll see. So their ob is 8. Ooh, they made it. It's a tie. And neither of them have fate. So I think it just goes into some other test, right? Well, this tie goes to the defender, unfortunately. Which was the Jagati in this case. So, yeah, I think I don't think it's bad. Or like, I don't think it's like a massacre or anything, but they fail, right? And Isidore takes a wound. Unfortunately, bows are random for the damage they do. So let's see. Let's see how much damage is done. With a hunting bow, I think, is probably what this is. I think so. Let me check their gear. Oh, that's Isidore. What am I looking at? Jagati Raider. That's what I was trying to do. Yeah, hunting bow is what I give him. Okay, so we roll the die of fate. This could be bad. It is bad, but it's not as bad as it could be. So it's a B7 wound for Isidore. Dang. I didn't put down his IMS. So given his stuff, oh, he has 4s across the board. Perfect. Then I know exactly what he has. I think. Let me find someone else who has 4 across the board. Yeah, MIDI is 7. Serious mortal. Okay. So Isidore gets a midi wound, which is 2 dice. He's not unconscious or anything. He'll need to get help there and heal it and stuff. But he gets a big arrow stuck in him. And his men have to drag him from the field of battle. Cool. So let me think about this briefly. Obviously, the Darthrax are in charge of Sinia now. But what I don't want to do is just completely negate what Ophelia was able to accomplish at the end of season 2, where she stabbed Cyrillus in the throat and stuff. I don't think this is her just dying, right? That's not fun. So I think I should have given them some extra Artha for what they've been doing in the background. I think I'll give Ophelia at least one persona so she can redirect the narrative away from her certain death. I just think that's the most interesting way of doing this. I would like the characters to be able to face against Ophelia in the end here. Like if Seth was still playing and he was still playing Cyrillus, then that's one thing, right? Like I wouldn't take this away from him necessarily. But this is happening with none of the characters involved. So I think redirecting the narrative away from her just being stabbed by Cyrillus, what does she do instead? Right? Because she wants to get the dead gods to join the Pantheon. She is trying to get done with to destroy the Darthrax. She failed to do that, obviously. She discovered a method for murdering the living gods. She's trying to find out if her son Philip was really there. She did. The only other thing is about Zoe, but that's not relevant right now. Is this, because I'm trying to think, is this Ophelia getting exiled? Like back into the wilderness? Is this us redirecting the narrative? Yeah, let's do this. Okay. I want to play out the scene a little bit more. So we see the Darthrax storm the palace, right? There's blood everywhere, right? People have just been dying left and right. I think we probably see Perrin get murdered, right? Trying to defend Ophelia. So he dies. I think for dramatic effect, we'll say that Althea is giving birth to her child in the middle of this fight in some part of the palace. She's not gonna get murdered as well, but like that's happening and everything. It's just so stressful. Everything that's happening here in the palace. And Ophelia is in the gardens, right? And she's waiting for this to happen. She's like, I know it's coming. Cyrillus is gonna come and confront me, and we'll have we'll fight each other like we once did. And Cyrillus shows up at the garden with his goons, right? And it's a very similar scene to what was happening before in the palace. And so I need to figure out what this redirects to, because if we don't spend the persona point, then Cyrillus walks up and stabs her. And she dies, right? That's just what happens. I guess she gets a stab in on him, but that's it. It still needs to be something bad happening to her that she needs to roll to solve. But it's not like her dying or getting stabbed or whatever. So the question is, what would this be? Because like I could have it be like she's trying to convince Cyrillus to join her again, but that seems like it's not really an option at this point. The only other thing I could think of is like something faith related. Oh, I guess she could lie to him about something. Just trying to think through what's like a dramatic thing that could happen here that wouldn't lead to just Ophelia just getting murdered again. Still has interesting ramifications for the state of Sinia when the characters return is something that Ophelia can actually accomplish. Taking a look at our supporting cast here. Man, I'm really drawing a blank here. Let me look at my notes again. Okay, yeah, all right. So this is what we see. Ophelia is sitting in the garden, cross-legged. Cyrillus and his goons come into the garden. Ophelia's facing away from them. Cyrillus is haggard and bloody from all the fighting he just went through. And he just says, Ophelia, I told you shouldn't have underestimated me. It's time for the tables to be turned. And what should have been done a year ago to finally come to fruition. This time you will die, and I will live. And Ophelia's going to make a roll here. She's going to make one more Faith in Dead Gods test. She does not have her people helping her. This is just something she has to do on her own, right? She is going to spend her fate to get help from her corruption. But otherwise, I think that's all she can do. So, here we go. She's going to make a guidance roll. She needs an answer to a question. And she blows it out of the park. Amazing. So, Ophelia has been wondering something. She knows at this point, given the whole situation with her learning the process of killing the gods and all that she knows that gods can die and not go to the dark side. There's some sort of intermediary step that can happen, and she's been wondering. She's been wondering for a while. And this faith that she just rolled is to finally answer that question. And we see a shot of Zoe, working in the garden near Ophelia in this moment, right? They both kind of know that the end is coming, and they had retired here to So Zoe has been, I think, teaching or attempting to teach Ophelia the skill of aura reading. They've had a little subplot going on there, I think, during this time as well. That was something I was going to roll on, but we got into true dramatic stuff too quickly. It's not going to matter now, I think. But Ophelia asked the one question that she was still wondering about, because she's like, if I'm going to die anyway, I just want to know, what was up with this? Like, and the question she asks is there a god in Sinia? Like, is one of them here? And if Malekith was still here, she would have found out that, right? That was something I was considering happening at some point previously in the campaign. But instead, she learns that there is indeed a god still in Sinia, and it's kneeling in the garden. She is kneeling in the garden, pruning a bush. And Ophelia looks with sightless eyes towards Zoe and realizes that Zoe is a goddess, the goddess Hekas, goddess of plants. And the tree, the plant that she's working with right now is a black orchid, right? And this means, right? This means that Zoe is a living god, technically, right? She's not one of the dead gods. There's something that happens when you become a dead god, a change in your mind, right? Zoe hasn't undergone that. And so Ophelia is like, wait a second, can I trust Zoe? What's been happening here? And Cyrillus is like behind her, asking her, saying this dramatic stuff. And Ophelia looks, she's glancing at Zoe, where Zoe is with sightless eyes. And Ophelia just stands up and walks over to Zoe. Cyrillus is like confused, but he's tired from the trudge through the palace, like, piling up bodies. And so he's resting for a moment while Ophelia does this. And Ophelia steps over to Zoe and asks, Zoe, who are you? Zoe looks up again with sightless eyes. She just, looks, turns her head slightly towards Ophelia and just says, I think you've answered that question for yourself, child. And Ophelia is just frowning. She says, You've been pushing me this whole time. You're the one who showed me what the black orchids were. Whose side are you on, Zoe? Philip was warning me. Philip was warning me there was someone betraying me, someone in my midst who was against me, but I just thought it was a priest. I never guessed a god was here. Why? Why are you helping me? What is happening here? And I think Cyrillus at that point says, she hasn't been helping you, Ophelia. She's been helping me. And Zoe says, there it is. Have you ever met do you know of my husband, Ophelia? You know doctrine. You should know this. And I don't think it matters for Ophelia to make a doctrine roll in this moment. She's about to reveal it anyway. And Zoe says, his name is Dardanus. He's the god of the sun. No, not that sun. Not the one you're thinking of. The other sun. The one that watches both sides of the planet. The one that revolves. That watches, that knows. The one that is alive and dead at the same time. And it came... just a tool. they were ever just a tool. Seraphim was just a tool. The real master, the real enemy of this world, the one who would destroy it all, the one who would see it all burn rather than fall into the Father's hands again. Is he the one who watches? Dardanus of the Darethrax. And Ophelia, her eyes are just widening. You've been playing me? What have you been doing? I don't understand. I don't understand why this would help you. And why help me? I don't understand. Do you want the gods to be dead or not? And Zoe smiles and she says, you will find that out in time, Ophelia. For now, I think it is time that you sleep. And this would be the moment where Cyrillus just stabs her. But again, I don't want that. I want there to be the possibility of her living. I like that we got to have this moment, but we still need to figure out the thing she needs to roll to like save herself here. Yeah, but my initial idea for this conversation was different before I just started having it. What are the options for faith in dead gods again? Yeah, she can't do an intercession. What does inspiration do? Yeah, okay. She's going to roll an inspiration. It's a knob 7. And... oh, you know what? That's actually probably what she was doing with this faith in dead gods roll here, because guidance is a little bit more vague than that. I think Ob 7 was probably what she was going for, but she got it anyway. And it was still difficult. But I think she wants to ask the dead gods, those who she almost thinks have abandoned her at this point. She's wondering what's happening, to basically give her the knowledge to save herself in this moment. Like, what is it, like her question is basically, what does the future hold? Like, what should I do? How do I fulfill your plan in this hopeless moment? So she's going to go ahead and do one more faith test. Let's see if she can replicate her test here. Okay, she gets a 5. She's going to spend one more fate to reroll one failed die. And we'll see if it works. It does not. Yeah. I still need to think about this a little bit, but I think the last thing we see is just Cyrillus walks up behind Ophelia and just says, "You were never in control, Ophelia. Neither was I. In the end, we are all but pawns. My job is to take those pawns No, this is a weird sentence. I'm going to back up. I'm trying to think of how he would say this. In the end, all we have ever done is dance upon someone else's strings. Well, no more strings, Ophelia. I sever them all. One day I will sever mine. But for now, you were never a queen. And then he just stabs Ophelia. And she's turned at this point to face him, so she just gets stabbed through the gut. And she crumples to the earth. And Zoe and Ophelia are glancing down at her body. And we just cut there. We'll see what happens when people return to Sinia. Yeah, I got a lot to think about. I'm gonna take some time to mull over what the consequences of this are and what Sinia looks like moving forward. But for now, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. So thanks for watching. And that's it. We're out.